Most people think that quality work relies solely on the factory and the installer. I'm going to show you why that's backwards and that quality actually begins upstream. Hi, I'm Charlie. I run a cabinet making business in Melbourne. We focus on 6 and 7-figure joinery packages that are complex and have little margin for error. In this video, we're going to go through the single most important strategy we use to ensure upstream quality. I'll go through where most joiners get this wrong. I'll explain our perfect release framework, and I'll give 3 specific ways we've structured our operations around this idea. In cabinet making, there's so much pressure on the installer. They're the last person to touch the work before the client sees it, and when something goes wrong, everyone looks toward them. But here's the thing, our installers are excellent, our factory team is excellent, but are we setting them up to shine, or are we giving them problems to solve? If the job wasn't built well in the factory or designed properly in the office, even the best installer is going to be fighting an uphill battle. We need to make sure that we're setting them up for success. This logic applies all the way up the chain. If assembly gets bad parts from machining, their quality suffers. If machining is getting weird CNC programs and bad materials, they're also going to struggle. And in the office, if the drafters and engineers aren't given a clear scope, that's going to flow downstream. That leads us to the perfect release framework. Before a work order is sent from the office to the factory, we check for 3 things: complete information, materials on hand, and sufficient time allocated to complete the work order. If any one of those 3 is missing, it's not a perfect release. That sounds simple, and it is, but the discipline of checking every time is what separates chaos from consistent outcomes. If the drawings are incomplete, we're open to interpretation risk. If we're waiting for materials in the factory, well, we can't finish the job. And if there's no time to complete the work order, well, we're going to rush and make mistakes. These blockers all introduce risk and reduce productivity. But with the perfect release framework, impediments are identified and dealt with early before they become bigger issues. Here's the thing, the perfect release isn't just about how we release work orders into the factory. It's a mindset around how we pass on the work to the next person to set them up for success. As makers, we love the finished product. That's our reward. But that product is a result of several handovers gone correctly. And each handoff is an opportunity to set up the next person to shine or to hand them problems. If our design coordinator doesn't give our engineering team clear scopes, their output suffers. If engineering gives bad machining data, then the parts come out wrong. And if the parts are wrong, then assembly can't do their job. Each person must set up the next to do their best work. Because in order to consistently achieve quality product, we must have quality processes. The perfect release mindset has reshaped how we operate as a business. And I want to share 3 specific examples. The biggest blocker of perfect release in the cabinet making industry is incomplete information. So often, the job is already delayed and we still haven't received approved shop drawings. That's why we focus on early shop drawing approvals with a target of 6 months before site measure. That means that when we do measure, we can go straight into production and give our factory teams that clear information. The second example is our dedication to create focus through narrow responsibilities. We've separated drafting from engineering so that our drafters can focus on the shop drawings and our engineers can focus on production. We believe that drafting shop drawings is about clarifying scope and ensuring buildability, and engineering is about getting into the real nitty-gritty and making sure that the factory is set up for success. And instead of a project manager, we created a design coordinator role. Their job is to orchestrate the drafting and engineering teams to consistently achieve perfect releases into the factory. Narrow focus means that each person has a higher likelihood of producing excellent work and setting up the next person for success. The third example is smaller work orders. Instead of releasing a kitchen, a pantry, and study all into the factory at once, we'll just do one room at a time. Large work orders distract the team from important details, and achieving the perfect release becomes a juggling act. Smaller work orders create focus. The perfect release is simple: complete information, materials on hand, and sufficient time. But it's really a mindset about setting up the next person for success. Each person in the chain must set up the next person to do their best work. The perfect release reminds us that quality work begins upstream. It reinforces the importance of attributing downstream success to upstream work, and it highlights the importance of doing what it takes to guarantee the next person's success.